Hey everybody, my name is Garrett Mergut. I'm the CEO at Directive, and I'm excited to chat with you about how we need to think a little differently about who our target market is. So what we're going to talk about today is that champion is greater than decision maker. So much of the time when we're working with clients, or even when I'm thinking about my own market and who my ideal customer persona is, we love to talk about the C-suite, and we love to talk about the directors and the executives. But the reality is, if you're selling into mid-market or enterprise companies where they have fully built out business units internally, and then you're supporting them externally with your services or consulting or product, the champion is more important than the decision maker. Now, the reason the champion is more important than the decision maker is because of how organizations actually buy. Let me walk you through a reality, especially if you're getting leads from search. Now, what I want you to understand is that how organizations buy depends on what channel they're buying from. So I'm going to be speaking from the lens of how organizations buy products and services when discovering them through search engines via SEO, PPC, or content. And the way it most traditionally works is a decision maker essentially asks your champion, their manager, the person who reports directly into them, to go out there and do some research. SEO is a priority for us in 2019. I'd like for you to get 3 quotes from SEO agencies and then, present to me your final findings, or get 5 quotes and present to me your final 2 agencies. Let's bring them into the office. Let's fly them out here, or let's, fly out to them, or let's set up a Zoom call, and let's really decide based off those final 3 or 2 agencies. And so what really happens is that manager goes out and they search top SEO agencies, best ERP software. Then they go look at reviews. They start to compare things because they have a big case of CYA. They need to cover their own ass, essentially, to make sure that the suggestions they're presenting to their boss are valuable. And so while you're all worried about the decision maker, the reality is the best decision maker is actually the champion. We need to be discovered by the champion. We need to sell into the champion, and we need to build trust with the champion, because that is the core of what happens. They're the one who decides which product, which service, which agency to go with. So we have to ask ourselves, who do organizations trust more? Do they trust us, the person selling them? Or do they trust the in-house person who's been doing their research? And so if you're selling past the champion and into the decision maker, you're alienating your greatest leverage or chances of closing a deal. You're forgetting about the person who matters most, and that's the champion. Because that's the person who at the end of the day has more influence than you do in the buying decision of the decision maker. And so we need to have marketing materials that support the champion. We need to have messaging that supports the champion. We need to be aware of comparison shopping. Despite being B2B or enterprise or massive, people are all comparison shopping. I call this the Yelp and the Amazon effect. People don't buy products without looking at reviews for their everyday life. People don't eat food without looking at everyday reviews. They don't make, and remember, how much does an Amazon product cost on average? Probably less than $100. How much does a restaurant cost on average? Probably less than $25 a plate. Yet, you think somehow, and this is what we constantly see, is customers, our clients, believe that a lot of times before engaging with us that people don't value reviews as much when making bigger decisions. And that's not true. So the quicker you can surface references, aka third-party reviews, that's going to help endear you to your champion, who's going to be incredibly influential in getting things from the opportunity stage to the deal stage, and finally to that revenue point. And then lastly, what happens when you win the deal? Well, should be, maybe not, maybe you're not necessarily, but you should be worried about the success of every contract you sell. And success, especially in the consulting business, is not based on our recommendations. It's based on an in-house ability, the in-house team, them buying into our recommendations, their ability to execute. So what I like to say is the success of Directive's clients isn't based on Directive, it's based on the client. And now we need to do the best we can to empower them. And what better way to pour into and build up the relationship with the champion, the person you're going to be working with every day once that contract closes. So in closing, Success is champion driven. Yes, the decision maker signs the contract. But if we looked at the time we spend with champion and decision maker, not only in the sales process, but also in the life cycle of the relationship, I can't stress how important it is for you to have the perspective as a marketer that the champion is the most important, not the decision maker. We should be targeting the champion with our ads. We should be speaking language that resonates with the champion, and we should have materials that supports that champion so that they look great internally. Thanks, and remember, champion is more important than decision maker.